Okay, we need to talk. Uber Eats are soon to be rolling out one of the most divisive and extreme changes to the workflow of us as delivery drivers that they've probably ever done. And obviously, I've got some thoughts. Oh boy. Yesterday, Uber Eats announced that they will be making one big key change to how we do age-restricted deliveries. We're soon going to be required to scan customer's ID at the door, and this will be required to actually complete the delivery in the app. There's pretty much no way of getting around this. Now, this is obviously a massive change, and people are already voicing their concerns. If you look on the Uber Eats subreddit, for example, plenty of people are already saying, count me out, I'm not doing alcohol deliveries again. No way in hell am I doing this. And I completely get it. So before I dive into my thoughts on the issue, let's read the email. I've got it here on my laptop and see if we can glean anything kind of specific about how this is going to work. Because there's some detail here. They've left little things out, but it's fairly descriptive of how this is going to work. Okay, important update regarding restricted item orders. Guiding you through our updated age verification process. Delivering age restricted items comes with additional requirements, blah, 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 blah. To ensure compliance with legal obligations and protect all users of the platform, we will be updating our age verification process to include ID scanning. Excuse me if my voice isn't 100% there. I am recovering from a cold. We've got a step-by-step process. Let's go from the top. Step 1, check sobriety. Okay, that's normal. We've been doing that forever. I don't think I have ever had to refuse a delivery for that reason, so yeah. Step 2, request ID. Okay, so far so good. But let's start reading this. Okay, next you will be reminded in-app to request a valid photo ID, regardless of the recipient's age. Honestly, that's the one thing I want them to change. Accepted documents include, yeah, all the usual suspects. Digital copies of photos are not accepted, blah, 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 yeah. This is interesting. Select the correct ID type in the app to begin scanning. So you're actually gonna have to pick the type of ID they've got, presumably, so that when it comes to scanning it, it knows kind of what it's looking at. If the person receiving the delivery doesn't provide a valid ID, or the document doesn't match their appearance, type no valid ID, okay, that's fine. That's all pretty similar to how it's always been. Step 3, check identity. Confirm the person receiving the order matches the photo. Okay, again, as usual, but then we get to step 4, scan ID. Okay. Let's get my cup of tea for this one. If the ID matches, scan the front side using the driver app for us to verify that the customer is over 18. In most cases, this should take a few seconds to verify. So, presumably it's just looking for the date of birth. I'm guessing that's what it's doing. I'm guessing it isn't doing like facial recognition. If the scan fails, you'll be prompted to manually enter the person's full name, date of birth, and the document's expiry date into your app. Oh man, I mean, so that's what the scan's looking for, right? Those 3 things: full name, date of birth, expiry date. I mean, it makes sense. If the scan fails, which I presume is going to happen quite a lot, then we've got to stand there and type all of that in whilst we're at the customer's door. That'll be fun. Do not use your personal camera app to take a photo of the person's ID. Thank you, Sherlock. One thing that worries me a little bit about the way they've worded that is the way they're scanning for the full name. I hope to God they're not going to start matching the name on the ID up to the name on the order, because people coming to the door to collect their partner's order that they made is very, very, very common and perfectly legal. As long as the person at the door is over 18, that's all that matters to us, right? That's all that is legally required. We hand it over to an adult. If that adult then goes and gives it to a kid, nothing to do with us. So I hope it's just looking for the full name to kind of verify that it's a real ID, you know, that it can find a name on it. And that's the only reason they want it. Step 5, complete the delivery. Once this step's complete, you can hand over the order. If you have concerns about the customer's level of intoxication, the validity of their ID, or whether they are underage, you should not complete the delivery. I do like the wording on step 2, actually. If the person receiving the delivery doesn't provide a valid ID, blah, 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 politely let the recipient know that you cannot complete the delivery, because that's exactly how that interaction is going to go. All right. Well, that's the email. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Now, to be clear, I do not have a particular issue with making sure that we are not handing over alcohol and vapes to children. Obviously, I'm more than happy to ensure that I'm not breaking the law whilst doing my job. But this change presents a lot of friction, is the most positive way of saying it. There's obviously one huge concern that I presume most of us delivery drivers are going to have, and I presume I can speak on behalf of everyone who delivers on Uber Eats when I say that main concern is going to be safety and the willingness of customers to comply with this new change. I don't care how many times Uber remind customers in the app to bring their ID to the door. We all know that the reality is very few of them do. Probably like 5% in my experience, like maybe not even that. The vast majority of them need to be reminded to go and get it. And I can almost guarantee that's because the vast majority of delivery drivers, let's be honest, don't check ID. They ask for the date of birth, they put it in the app, they get onto their next job, which has never been the right policy on any of these apps apart from Amazon Flex, where you can kind of do challenge 25. You still have to put the year of birth in, but for the most part, you don't need to check people's ID unless they actually look young. Most delivery drivers don't follow the process properly, and customers have gotten used to that, so they don't bother getting their ID. They come to the door, they take their order, and they give their date of birth to the driver. That's it. Now, I have faced my fair share of confrontations in the past when asking customers to go and get their ID. No matter how politely I ask, sometimes these customers, they're just gonna kick up a fuss. Thankfully, I've never had anything get too uncomfortable, certainly not violent or anything, but that's not to say that it never would. And there are countless stories out there already of drivers getting themselves into some really, really nasty situations. And that's all before this change, where we now actually have to take your ID, hold our camera up to it, and scan it to get your details off of it. And even though we're not taking a photo of it, we're using the Uber app and it's kind of doing a live scan. Doing that looks like we're taking a photo. It has that kind of same effect, I think, to the customer. And with all the coverage these gig work apps are getting lately in the news, we've all seen it about illegal workers in this country using these apps to make money. Is now the best time to introduce a feature where your delivery driver now has to scan your ID at the door? I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like it. I can already tell this is going to cause absolute chaos. Like I've said, I've seen comments all over the place of drivers now who are saying they're just going to opt out of these deliveries the second this change comes in. I don't blame them. I think particularly if you do this part-time and you do it in the evenings where there's lots of food orders going around, probably isn't going to be that big a deal. It's a bit of a shame that you're kind of cutting off a portion of orders, but there should be enough of the normal food orders to keep you going. But if you're a full-time delivery driver, then cutting off probably like 30% of your orders, that's a tougher pill to swallow. Now, I'm sure there are going to be some customers who oblige and are happy to go along with these changes. Hopefully more than I'm predicting, because if we could just get a helping hand from the customers who rely on these services, that would be amazing. We don't want this change. We really, really don't. I did speak to one lady yesterday when I was doing an age-restricted delivery to her. She's a regular. And I told her about this change coming in, and she kind of laughed and said, it seems a bit over the top, but she would be happy to oblige to continue to receive the service. The thing is, she is a very polite and very, very friendly customer, and that does not apply to a lot of the people we deliver to. I can guarantee it won't take long until you get to a customer who just mumbles their date of birth at you, who now gets very angry when you demand to scan their ID just so they can have their can of Monster Energy. Not to mention, of course, the fact that this policy is still going to apply to customers of all ages. My dream of Challenge 25 becoming something that we can employ is still not a reality. So we still have to ID Grandma Doris as we hand over her order. And not only that, we have to now scan her ID. Poor Grandma, she's gonna wonder what the hell is going on. Yeah, I'm not excited for this. So am I gonna be continuing with age-restricted deliveries on Uber Eats? Well, yeah, I kind of have to. Number one, I'm still doing this full time, and I can't just kiss goodbye to a really quite sizable portion of my jobs that I do per week. Secondly, kind of my duty, right? I've got this YouTube channel, I kind of report on the industry. I'm obviously going to give this a go and come back with my experiences, not just to you guys, but I will feed things back to Uber as well, somehow, if I can get through to a human being. Ultimately, if this change really, really does make our jobs so much more difficult, so much more dangerous, then they need to know about it and come up with a better solution, because this job already has its fair share of challenges, so we don't really need another one with the potential for such grave consequences to come in and make this even harder, because we've already got enough on our plate. Safety concerns aside, am I in favour of this change in terms of protecting kids, which is ultimately what it's about. Protecting kids, yes, but doing it like this, absolutely not. I already thought that checking the ID of every single customer, regardless of age, regardless of how often you deliver to them, was too far anyway. And now they're adding the requirement to scan IDs on top of that. Anything other than Challenge 25, I'm not really going to be in favour of. There is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't have the same right to use Challenge 25 like a worker in a shop to make a common sense judgment about the person in front of us and whether they're over the age of 25. If they look over 25, you can safely assume they're over 18, therefore they can have the product. If they look between the ages of 18 and 25, you're not sure, you check their ID. If they clearly look younger than 18, you check the ID. It's a pretty simple system. It's worked in this country for decades. It's how every shop operates. It's how Amazon Flex operates, importantly. So I just don't see why we can't have that same respect in a way. I think it's respectful to let us do that, to trust us enough to do it. It just kind of feels like we're being treated like children who can't make a reasonable judgment about somebody, look at their date of birth and use basic mathematics to figure out if they're over the age of 18. I know that they're just trying to be ultra safe and rule out any potential of somebody making a mistake, I guess. But mistakes happen, and I'm sure they happen in shops and other scenarios where age checks take place. I feel like for the sake of catching those 0.01% of outliers, there are all of these insane steps now getting in the way. I don't know. It's not worth it to me. Challenge 25 should be it. Look at the person, make a judgment call. If you're not sure, check their ID. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Are you going to carry on delivering alcohol and cigarettes on Uber Eats? Are you going to opt out? Or are you hoping that this might actually result in more return trips to the retailer and therefore a bit more easy cash for you, which is probably the most positive way you can possibly look at it. That's it. That's my thoughts. Do I like it? No. Do I think it's over the top? Yes. Should we have Challenge 25? Yes. This is the gig moving forward. Scanning IDs. Welcome to 2025, everybody. And by the way, I do have a shift video literally being edited right now, but as soon as Uber announced this, I knew I had to make a video on it. Too important to not talk about. Yeah, this is a big change to how we do our jobs. So look out for the shift video very soon, and I'll catch you then.